Yes, ma'am.
Is that a yes? You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. It's 6 o'clock, so I think I'm going to start the meeting unless, do we have a quorum?
Yeah.
We do, right?
3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to call the meeting for the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors for August 17, 2022 to order at 6:02 p.m. Reviewing the agenda, we are here at Northwest Career and Technical Center, the Building Trades Building. I'd like to, first of all, thank Lisa and my other friend, my other L word, Lisa and Leanne for hosting tonight's meeting. We appreciate the opportunity to start going around at all the different schools again. So thank you. Agenda review, I think we only have one change we need to make to the agenda, and that is to delete item 8A, which was one of the side letters in the list of side letters that we need to approve. And it's because it's been determined in the review that this particular side letter is no longer needed. It's the one educational support staff side letter for help assistance. So anyone else have any other agenda changes they need to make?
Yeah, I think there's one here in the room. Nilda, there's a question for
As
you.
noted.
Nilda, I just have a question about the thing that we talked about earlier, the thing that I made you aware of. I was wondering if you wanted me to do that now, or do you want to wait till board announcements? Not now, but...
Bill, do you think we should wait till board announcements, or should we cover it now?
Well,
This is the item
you can put it at the end
related.
you can put it after new business, at the end of new business as an 8I.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, motion to approve the agenda as revised, please. Do I need a motion
I'll make that
to approve
motion.
the agenda as revised?
I'll make that
Thank
motion.
you. Is there a second? Is there a second, please?
Second.
All right, take a roll vote. Jack?
Yes.
All in favor signify Jack.
Yes.
Al? Is Al here?
No, he's not.
Okay. Grant?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Joanna?
She's not here.
Oh, okay. Katie?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Nilda, yes. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're okay. We're okay with quorum. Have we? So I heard from Ryer and Nina that they couldn't make it for different reasons. I had not heard from Joanna. Do we expect her, or we don't know?
I don't know, but I think there's some people checking. So.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Excuse me, Nilda. Erin just looked at me and said she's not coming. Joanna's not coming.
Okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So please all join me for a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I apologize. I'm not going to stand for this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Okay, next item on the agenda is the visitors section. And just for the information of the board, Susan Casavant and I are going to tag team this meeting. So we've divided up the agenda in a manner that I think will suit the room the best. So you'll see that we'll go back and forth a little bit in a bit. Do we have any visitors present? Do we have any visitors online that would like to speak?
Yes, you do.
Okay. And I just saw Al.
Yep, finally got it in.
Craig, hi Al, welcome. Okay, so I'm going to read the visitor preamble since we have visitors present. So the visitor section of the meeting is an opportunity for community members to address issues of concern about policy, budget, or administrative matters, or to share ideas about how we can work together to improve our schools. Priorities prescribed by the chair, and I'm going to limit those 3 remarks to 2 minutes each for each topic, and with individual members of privacy of students and parents. If you're attending remotely, name in the town of your town of residence.
Yeah, I think Susan, why don't you read it one more time?
We will have those comments disabled section. If some questions pop up during this, I'm sorry I missed that. Okay, and then so I'm going to open it up to visitors in the room, please.
So Nilda.
Anyone in the room with just being?
Nilda, since you were in and out, I'm going to just reread that.
Yeah.
So the public comment or visitor section of the meeting is an opportunity for community members to address issues of concern about policy, budget, or administrative matters, or to share ideas about how we can work together to improve our schools.
Say that again.
I'm just rereading it because you were cutting.
Okay.
Okay. We value input and respect divergent views. We ask you to limit your remarks to time constraints prescribed by the chair and refrain from airing grievances with individual members of the school community, including respecting the privacy of students and parents. Those attending remotely may type their full name into the comment section if they wish to speak. During the meeting, the comments may be disabled, and the chair is going to keep the time limit to about 2 minutes. So it looks like we.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're having a little freezing right now. I asked folks in the room to put their computers down and not be. It's because I see the whole screen freezing, not just Nilda. So I think we're having something in here. All right. So I want to make sure that the folks that are out there in the public have a chance to be heard properly. Thanks, everyone. I understand. We will get to this.
So I think we're waiting to hear from Scott Duckworth.
All right. Hi, how are you? Thank you for taking the time. My wife and I have been residents of St. Albans Town for over 15 years, taxpayers into the Vermont Education Fund for longer than that. And we have 2 children in SATEC, enrolled in SATEC currently. So we're here to just ask for I guess an exemption or an override on what's been referred to as a cap on the number of exchange students allowed at BFA St. Albans. We've been told informally, kind of secondhand information, that there's a cap on the number of J1 visa students allowed at BFA St. Albans at two students. And so we're actively pursuing. We've had background checks done, references checked by a third-party organization who facilitates J1 students. And so, you know, we've been through a process, and now at the home stretch, we're finding out that there's a cap at BFA St. Albans of 2 students, which seems very low to me. And so I took it upon myself to poll area schools that are roughly the same enrollment as BFA St. Albans. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, they're all greater than 2 students, starting with Champlain Valley Union, which is the largest secondary school in Vermont. They do allow 10 students. Essex is more than 2, and they still have openings. Burlington, Mount Anthony, South Burlington are all greater than 2, 5 to be precise. And Colchester, I've been told, has no cap on the number of students. So we're just asking that we take that the administration takes a second look at the number of students that are allowed on the exchange program. Generally, in my experience, exchange students bring more to a school than I guess what would be maybe perceived as services required by students. They add value to a school, I feel like. And by capping it at 2, we're really limiting the diversity that we could, you know, promote and encourage in BFA St. Albans. So thank you for your time, and thanks for your work.
Well, thank you for your commentary, and we will definitely look into the matter, and someone from administration will get back to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have comments in the room, please? Okay. Anybody remotely have comments to make, please?
Nobody else, Nilda.
No one else? Okie doke. All right, so then we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, and that will be the consent agenda. We have 3 different topics. We have the minutes, the media packet, and staff changes. Does anyone have anything on the consent agenda that they wish to pull out for a specific discussion? Hearing none, we're going to accept the consent agenda as submitted. And now I am going to turn the meeting over to Susan for a bit.
So the next agenda item is report to the board, and it doesn't look like we have a student rep here tonight, so we're going to skip that. And next we are going to be hearing from the principals. So first maybe Angela.
Sure. Is it alright to talk from here? Or?
It is.
Okay,
well,
great.
I would imagine.
So,
Only for the Zoom people.
Oh, okay, great. You just don't want to be the only one standing, right? So thank you. So at SATEC, I want to highlight some of our summer work. We had a summer program that ran the month of July for 4 weeks. We had 8 different camps, a bay camp, cooking in the community. You might have seen that in the news. Students made food and did donations like to Martha's Kitchen. So it was a really great experience. We had an arts camp, Beta Masters, which was for 6th through 8th grade, which was technology. We had 2 little adventures camp. One was K2 and one was 3-4, and also 2 sports and adventure camps with a lot of outings and activities throughout the weeks. And each week we had about 220 students in attendance, and each week had a wait list, which we were able to sometimes add a few more. So it was very successful, and our staff worked very hard to keep it organized, and we were very pleased with how it all went. In terms of our building, of course, our entire building was cleaned, which was really great. The floors are sparkly. We're ready for the kids almost. And outside, we redid the sidewalks in the front of the parking lot, which were pretty unsafe, so that's really great. We also replaced the siding on our building, which looks fabulous. It's very bright and looks much better. And then we also resurfaced the road to the playground, which is also the fire kind of lane around the building, so it'll be a lot easier to keep clean of ice and snow in the winter. In terms of staffing changes, we did add a new position, which I think will be extremely important for SATEC. We have a student support coordinator position, and we've hired Christina Boissonneau for that. She was one of our classroom teachers, and she's going to be helping coordinate all the 504 plans, helping to oversee the HHB policies and Title IX issues, and really being a person to help support students who need it. And so it's a really great position that'll really help all the teachers and the students in the school, and particularly our student support centers who are trying to get a lot done, and this will be a great additional resource. This year we actually have 5 new teachers, which is a high record for us. We usually only have a couple, but we did have some retirements and internal transfers. Do you want me to name them, or is that? I mean,
you certainly can.
Okay. We have Luke Steele, who will be actually replacing Christina Boissonneau in the classroom, teaming with Erica Parent. Daniel Harris, a new special educator in kindergarten. Melanie Stopler, a new special educator in the 3rd and 4th grade. Maria Hubbard is our new kindergarten teacher, and we've hired Chad Carter from New Hampshire, who will be our PE teacher. So that'll be great. And we do have some additional support staff that we've hired. Claire Thompson is our behavior consultant, who will be helping our student support centers. We have hired several new paraeducators: Alyssa Vincent, Darla Tedford, Hillary DeVarney, and we are still working on a few more. So we're not fully staffed with our paraeducators yet. So we keep interviewing and working on that. And then we did hire 2 new custodians, or joining our night crew, Jacob Munn and Anthony Andrews. And I know they did some work at BFA, so we're excited to have them on staff. In terms of being prepared for this new school year, we're kind of excited about just a new opportunity to start a year with maybe not so much COVID hanging over our heads, and trying to get, I don't want to say normal, because I don't even know what that was, but just getting a nice grounding to start our year, doing the things in our jobs that we hadn't been able to do. You know, last year, Jason and I started the year, the first Saturday, we sat in my office and did contact tracing all day. So it just, just starting that year with just a new kind of excitement. We have modified the school schedule a little bit. We'll be dismissing most days between 2:55 and 3:10. It's a little bit earlier, and our plan is to have a half-hour collaboration time for the staff every day after school. We are, as you know from the district, implementing the new MTSS system, and we really need this time for staff and teachers to meet, look at data, review plans, and probably have time to hold EST meetings if needed with parents. So, and our Wednesdays will be similar, just be an hour earlier, the 1:55, and really going to be able to utilize that time as well for our professional development that we've been working on as a district, the UDL work, and continuing our other work that we're partnering with the other schools. So just excited about the year, and like I said, the floors are starting to shine, and we'll get the staff back next week, and hopefully we'll be all ready to go by the 31st. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions? Brett, do you want to?
Thank you. Brett Blanchard, BFA, and I won't go over all the new staff. We have quite a few, but we did have all the staff create bios, so we're excited to start the first day with picture, bios, and then make them talk afterwards. So some interesting bios too, by the way, is what people have done. So that's the way I remember people rather than by name. So looking forward to that. The hiring has been different than any time in the past, so hiring's taken a lot more time and a lot more summertime. Usually it takes a bit, but this has taken more. So we took a look at what are our goals last year, what are our goals coming up this year, and then what do we see as issues. So one of the big issues that we saw is with attendance. So we put a great deal of time and some software also into making the attendance a central part of the foundation of what we need to do to be successful learners. So the letter I sent to parents really is a 3-pronged approach. I'm not going to go over the whole letter, but we're also trying to make sure that we can utilize the morning time, that 7:30 to 8:10, 3 days a week for callback, to be able to take students that are struggling to get to school or struggling to learn, to be able to meet with teachers. So we spent time on that, how to make that schedule work, how to tie it with attendance to make it an applicable consequence, if you will, and make the students more comfortable going back to class. Because I know if I miss class, I was not always psyched to go back the next day. So trying to make that piece work. We really need community support. That's going to be the biggest. Make sure they get dropped off by 8 o'clock so we can make it work. As Angela was saying, with COVID kind of being, we'll put it this way, at least on the side burner, that we could put a lot more time into areas that we need, like safety. So really taking a look at, we did a schedule where at least once a month faculty will be working on safety. We did take a look this summer, kind of revamping how we're going to operate, and it is, as Angela indicated, the amount of time we spent on COVID was just extraordinary. So now we really need to put that same type of temporary safety into longer term safety, and we've been doing that, and the committee will be up and running, and we work directly, NCTC, we work together with that, and we'll make sure that we keep the board updated should they ask. We also have a variety of summer programs. We try to utilize the outdoors for outdoor learning experience, so that went well. We did SAT prep, some PLP work. Teachers took quite a variety of classes as John Muldoon headed that up, but we had quite a few teachers, and quite a few teachers teach classes. So that was a nice summer connection with the kids. We have an emphasis again on 9th grade orientation. We lost some of that. I think that smoothness over the last couple of years. So we've been giving, students have been giving tours this week. Guidance has come in all week to meet with students to try to be proactive so the year goes smoother in the beginning. That's something new. We're doing a 9th grade orientation night on the 30th for parents and students to come. 9th grade morning the following day, and then 10 through 12. So trying to make sure that we develop those positive relationships and a comfort level with students. We worked with the Abbey group to make sure that we have always improvements with health and nutrition. And by the way, really pleased with them. So when I say improvements, we need to improve all the time. I mean, with everything. So when I say that, some people think it's the judgment's not. They've been wonderful to work with from our end. But we still do that in the summer. The alternative school is going to be up and running in, well, week and a half, something like that. So a lot of people put effort into that. Expanded the nursing area because we have some needs this year to make sure that we can better meet student health concerns. So we've done that. And the building improvements, one of the things I was jealous of and then openly stole from NCTC, the tile work that was very nice. We just extended it out, and then I'm going to take the credit to make sure that it looks like we originated all that. And then the walls were painted, and we made sure that the Len did an amazing job taking 4 separate areas that have been wired, rewired, and redone over the decades. And all the wiring's done. The alarm systems are all connected. These speaker systems are connected. And this is exciting stuff to me, actually. And then the sprinklers are all put in place. The PAC was updated. And the fitness center is complete for phase 1. And that's up and running day 1. And you know what, I'll leave it at that. So you're welcome to come take a tour. We'll show you around. And yeah, we're super excited to begin the year. So we'll be sure to give any reports as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
That's a lot to follow. I'm Kelsey Malbuff. I'm the principal at Fairfield Center School. This is my first year starting the school year. So I'm returning, but yet new, starting a full school year. So we had a summer program run. We offered it to pre-K all the way up until 8th grade. And pre-KK had 2 full weeks. 2nd and 3rd grade, they were offered 4 full weeks, and they created plays and did creative stories. And then we had 4 through 6, where they went on, they wrote a biodome book, and they went on a field trip once a week. And then our 7th and 8th grade had it for 2 weeks, and their job was to upkeep the garden and the grounds around the school. A lot of my teachers participated in the professional development work with John Muldoon. I heard a lot of great things, and they're excited to get back into the class and use that work. For our building, we had our boiler replaced, and they're still working on it. And we had some new floors. And every classroom this year, it was the first time where it was cleared and every floor was waxed. Albert's been doing an incredible job, same with Debbie. It looks really nice. For professional staff, I have a lot of staff returning. I feel really fortunate and lucky as I see the talent coming back to the building. I also have a lot of staff, paraeducators returning. For new staff, I have a new music teacher, Bailey Brown. Librarian is Megan Bellavance, and we increased her to 3 days a week. We have a new 7 and 8 teacher, Vaughn Mays. I have 2 new special educators, Crystal Johnson and Tara Blakely, and then I have a new paraeducator, Morgan Heth. Upcoming, our focus this year is really connecting back with the community and really getting them to come back into the building and welcoming them in and establishing those relationships and building that trust again. That's really important for us. One thing that I'm going to be doing this year, it's called the town meeting. So every couple months, I'm going to invite the community to come in, and it's just very casual, just to establish good rapport with the parents and families. So we're really excited. We're looking forward to this school year, and that's about it.
Thank you, Kelsey. Any questions?
All right. I'm Joan Cavallo from City. Aaron, could we, I sent, this is a slideshow that we do for teachers at the beginning of the year, and I thought you might like to see pictures from the summer as we do this. And there's music, but if we can keep the music really low, I'll talk right over it. So our summer, Margot Valancourt is in her second year of running our open doors, and our summer was absolutely phenomenal. Unbelievable programming and great attendance. There were 333 students that attended. Some came for more than just one camp. We ran for 5 weeks. The first 4 weeks were open for pre-K to 8th grade, and the last week was reserved just for kindergarten, and that was kinder camp. The biggest thing that got me about this summer is we had 18 8th graders who were going into 9th grade come back to do camp at their elementary school, which is pretty amazing, and it just speaks to the relationship with their teachers. And the other thing is that we had 26 of our students going into 8th grade, and that's the hardest age group to get to come back, so we were really excited to do that. This year, in the summer, there was a culminating event. There was a day-long field trip that went with every camp in some ways, and they did amazing things. The other thing which just felt so good this summer is that we re-engaged with the Abbey, and the Abbey staff was actually going to our culminating events, and they were watching the kids, and it just felt like normal, which was such a wonderful feeling to all be coming back together. Things that you'll notice when you look at City will be that we did some painting. We didn't have any really, really big things going on this summer, just a lot of small things, but things that we really wanted to take care of. There was a really broken sidewalk going to the pavilion, and that was really hard, especially for students in wheelchairs. So getting that repaved has just been an enormous boost to our access. We also have some new equipment coming, but unfortunately with the supply chain issues that are going on nationwide, we won't get those until the spring. But we were really excited to get some new playground equipment that is wheelchair accessible. So those things are on order, but they won't be coming until the spring. We also got rid of the stones, and stones may not seem like a big deal, except stones are really inviting to kids, and they do all kinds of things with them, none of which is good. So we're thrilled the stones are gone and the grass goes right up, and yes, we have to edge, but edging is better than what we had to do because of the stones. So our gardens are looking phenomenal. The pool area, the city pool, with it going up to Hardack, the pool is now going to be returned because it's on our leased land, and they could have put it all down to nothing and just seeded it and turned it over to us, but we asked them to leave the building because it's got bathrooms, and we asked to leave in the fenced area. We're still waiting for the pool to be filled in, and then once that's done, they'll be turning it over to us, and we don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but having a fenced in natural area with bathrooms is a real plus for a school. So we're really excited about that. The other thing we did is we have a new movable wall, and those will be getting, they're almost all original equipment. Those will be getting replaced over the year. As far as staff go, August 1st, before 8 o'clock, we were fully staffed for our professional staff, and we were so happy. We actually had a slide that said, "Congratulations, we are fully staffed." And at 9 o'clock, we got a resignation from someone who's leaving education. But we were really lucky because there was a teacher in our building who was our homeschool coordinator, Matt Allen, and he has agreed to step into the job because he's fully licensed and used to do that job. So we're down a homeschool coordinator for now. We're going to keep looking for our language arts teacher, but we're really excited that our staff came together and did it. The places where we're understaffed are going to be our ESPs. We actually hired 8 this summer, but we needed 17. So we're still down 9. That's not as bad as it sounds because we operated all last year down 7. Those two would be critical, and we will not stop until we have to start school, and we will, and we'll do it. We just do. That's it. We're going to have an open house for our families from 4:30 to 5:30 the evening before school starts, so that everyone can come and see and meet their teachers and get to know everybody. But we're in good shape. We're ready to go.
Thank you.
Hello, Leanne Wright, Northwest Career Technical Center. We are excited to be starting school in less than a week. The halls have been very quiet without staff and with students, and so we are very excited to welcome them back. We will be welcoming a couple of staff members. One is Stephen Allard. He will be heading up in our building trades program. He will complete the 4-person team, and he's actually an alumni from our program. And I just wanted to remind you that we had about 100 students that came in and out of these doors last year for building trades. We also have hired a cosmetology lab supervisor. Her name is Betty Popel, and she comes from Essex CTE. She's a recently retired cosmetology teacher, so we're really excited to have her join our team. And I also wanted to remind you that our program is changing so that all of the students can receive 1,000 of their hours in order to sit for their cosmetology license. So all students leaving Northwest Career and Technical Center can sit for their exam once they've completed their hours, which is a big deal. Which means that we're going to be having a school of cosmetology where staff, students, people from the community can come and have services done. So stay tuned for that. We recently learned that we will be replacing our public safety and fire services program instructor. So we're on the hunt for a teacher for that program. I also wanted to let you know that when I was listening to my colleagues talk about all of the people that they had hired, that many are Northwest Career Tech Center graduates. So there were 3 students that SATEC has recently hired that are graduates from our programs. There was 1 from Fairfield, and I know that there's at least 1 from BFA. And Joan didn't really give a lot of the names, so I'm sure there's a few from there as well. So we're really proud about that. What's new in our space? Big thank you to Len and his crew for just sprucing up the place from top to bottom. It looks really great. We laid an epoxy floor in our auto program, so we now have epoxy through the whole area. Epoxy is what is in here. You can drop hard, large, heavy metal items on it without denting it, so that's a really good thing. And then we replaced our refrigeration and freezer units in culinary. They were over 20 years old. Aside from that, that's really all that we did for the upgrades. I wanted to point out that we had teachers that participated in the BFA summer camp, so we had 2 teachers that taught classes from there. And we also had some staff that participated in the professional development that was led up by John Muldoon. Thank you.
Any questions from anyone? Jack?
So, having been a 50-year educator, I kind of miss the excitement of opening a new school year, being retired. So you folks have just rekindled that excitement and spirit of reopening the new school year, and I commend all of you. I really enjoyed hearing your overview of what's going on. Appreciate it.
Does that mean you're going to apply for one of the open positions?
I have to admit, I get tempted. But my wife slam dunks very quickly.
Alrighty, kicker on to old business. And
Let me just say one thing, because we talked about this. First of all, thank you, principals, for being here, as we do for all meetings. We know you're really busy with everything you're trying to do, so if you need to step out, feel free to. You don't need to leave, but I also want to. Nilda and Susan and I talked before the meeting that you guys just did a nice job of coming and talking in person, and usually you're able to be remote. So if you need to leave, there's no guilt in walking up and saying, I got things to do at 7 tomorrow morning. I need to go rejuvenate myself. So please do.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
alrighty, now on to old business. And the first thing is a COVID update from Bill.
Yes. I wanted to inform, the board had this in their packet. We, as I think many of you heard through the news in the past week, AOE sent out some new guidelines, which really empowered schools and specifically school nurses to make decisions for COVID and COVID symptoms. And I really appreciated that. I think it's right to give our health professionals that are in our buildings to have to be able to guide when a student is there and when not, and to help with that. And I think it also gave support to the nurses of their professional judgment and not to be questioning what that is. And they fully have my support in that as well. We're trying to keep the COVID guidelines the same as what we left school. It really hasn't changed. I will tell you, and I was going to tell you in my superintendent's report, I'm sending out a letter to families in the community, I should say, tomorrow, that will contain these COVID guidelines, and that people will have a link to it. We'll have it up on our website, but really it's the same as what we left school with. If you have symptoms, stay home. If you test positive, you need to stay for 5 days. You can come back. There's been some changes from the CDC. That came after the Vermont came out with their guidelines from the Department of Health and the Agency of Education. There's a little bit of nuances and differences, but we'll just follow what Vermont has, which is a couple extra days of masking. That's suggested, but we won't be requiring. That's a personal choice. And so, as I said, I gave you in your packets. It's almost a little over 2 pages. We have a little bit there from the agency. We want to make sure we quoted that was empowering the nurses to do the good work that they do in every day. I join my colleagues across the way here who say, you know, we hope COVID is at bay right now. We're all learning to live with it, I think is the best way to say it. And I would ask, and maybe this is a retreat item, Nilda, or another time, but I think we're at the point where maybe we don't have to have in every meeting COVID update, but that's something that the board will, and Nilda and I can talk about as well.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any questions, concerns.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Yep.
So the next item is implicit bias and anti-racism training.
Yep. So as you all know, you heard it a bunch last spring. You approved the awarding of a contract to the Creative Discourse Group. Nadia DuBois and Susan McCormick lead that, and Sue is our main contact. We've done some work this summer with them. We started planning our meetings throughout the year, the work that's going to be done. Next week at Convocation, and I'm saving it to then, although I've said it in board meetings and public meetings, so it's not a secret that we're working with, but just the announcement of how we'll be bringing different groups together, and they'll be leading that work. I'm going to use the word affinity groups to support people really in asking them, what are your hopes and dreams for Maple Run? What are your aspirations for it? And really start the conversation from there. And from then to gather that information and then talk about how do we bring that into a greater discussion. Grant will tell you a little bit more of how this is aligning with our goals work in a minute. So we've planned out some meetings. They're also working with the leadership team. They're also going to work supporting folks in equity issues within Maple Run this year. So I'm really positive with the work. I think the meetings have been really good. And Grant joined me in a meeting with Susan and Nadia, which I'm sure he'll tell you about. So that's what I have for you right there on that.
Perfect. So the next thing is Grant's going to be talking about setting goals, the goals committee.
Sure. We've had a couple meetings so far. We're getting into the more detailed planning for the engagement with the affinity groups that we've identified as being inputs into the goal setting process. The committee has been doing some great work in determining, who those affinity groups should be, the types of questions that we should be asking in order to get the feedback that we need, and then also looking for collaborations, for example, with the creative discourse group, and maybe some other groups throughout the community to be sort of as efficient as we can in getting that information that we need in order to set goals for the students. We're in the process of scheduling our next meeting for the beginning of September.
I think we're going for September 1st,
yep.
2nd, somewhere in there.
At which point, we will sort of, formalize that, whatever sort of alignment we have with some of the other groups in the community doing similar work. And then, you know, this fall, I believe we're still targeting to have some recommendations for the board around what we think should be goals as they pertain to students. We're still also discussing what the deliverable for that should be. So if board members have some idea of what they'd like to see come out, it can be as simple as, you know, a one page. These are the sort of attributes of a graduate or a student within the community. We've seen that as a potential deliverable from committees like this, or it can be more detailed than that if you know, there's more specific capabilities. You know, we can do something a little bit more elaborate. So if anyone has some idea of what they'd like to see, you can let me know, and we can put that kind of on the agenda as well. So that covers it. Is there more?
I think I would just add the next meeting we're inviting the Creative Discourse Group to be with us. They couldn't be at the last meeting, which was last week. And we're really looking at having them lead affinity groups with historically marginalized groups, and then the board group maybe tapping other parts of our community. Just as a safer format to do that. And also the Creative Discourse Group said to the board and to myself, to the committee and myself, you know, if we start tapping the same groups twice, we're going to get less interaction. So let's be smart about this. And we're looking at, I've learned just within the past 24 or 48 hours of other work that's been done in the community, of learning about community aspirations. And Grant and I are going to discuss possible inclusion of that work as well.
Questions? So the next agenda item is a facilities update.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk a little
Can I
bit.
just go a little bit before, because I know we have motions here. I just want to give a little bit of orientation. Al, please don't shoot the messenger who's jumping in front of the board process. I just wanted to say that there's 3 motions in here, and it may be hard to see. There's a 1, 2, and 3 that's within the narrative. And for federal grant and funding, which 2 of these are, one is specifically about, we needed to break what normally would be 1 motion into 2. So that if we ever get audited, Martha and I discussed this, if we ever get audited, we felt safer having 2 separate motions instead of 1. And making them very specific. So I just wanted to say that before we got into moving the motion. So,
All right, so the first motion is...
the first motion is right here.
Okay. Do this.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a motion to support the administration approval for use of ESSER funds for the renovation of Bellows Free Academy, Fairfield Center School, St. Albans City School, and SATEC in the amount not to exceed $4.5 million as approved by the Vermont Agency of Education. Does, and can anyone make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All right. So now I'm going to open it up to discussion.
So this goes back to the capital plan that I presented you back in June, and then we had a chance in July. What we're doing is splitting this into 2 different motions. One is for the specific use of federal funds, which this first one is for, so that we have that. And then the second one will be for the use of our capital fund money. We have increased, if you went through the PowerPoint, which was included in the packet again, you would say, wait a minute, Bill, these are a little higher. There might be chances, because we're moving around federal funds, remember that the ESSER funds go over 3 years. And if we don't spend money in a certain area, we would dump it into the construction project. And we wouldn't want to have to come back to the board. What you see in that PowerPoint is still our best estimates, and the total is a, can I see that for a second? So, the total for both projects is on page I thought I had it right here. Sorry, on the summary of spending, the total project cost is a little greater than 7.4 million, with the total from ESSER being 3.8 million approximately. So I just wanted to, Martha and I talked, we thought this is a better place to be instead of having to keep coming back to the board and saying, hey, because our goal, as we've said all along with all the ESSER funds, is to spend it all. We don't want to give anything back to the federal government. So.
Any other questions? So we're going to take a roll vote on this. Nilda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
I said yes.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks.
So did I.
Yeah. Al?
Yeah.
Jack?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Susan, yes. So that passes by a vote of 6.5 to 0. All right, so the next motion is the administration seeks a motion to approve the use of capital reserve for renovations as presented in the facilities plan on June 15th, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $4 million. So I'm looking for a motion to support that.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Nilda. A second?
I'll second.
All right, and now we're going to open it up to discussion.
This is the capital part of the whole project that we're using capital reserve funds. Martha, and I hate to put you on the spot because I forgot to ask you, but I think we're around 6 to 6.2 mil on the capital reserves right now for capital projects.
All right. Any other discussion?
Yeah, does that include the $1 million plus for Catherine Street?
Yes. And it includes Collins Pearly as well because they could not be funded with ESSER funds.
Okay.
Anyone else? So I'm going to take a roll call vote. Nilda?
Yes.
Peter?
No.
Al?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. So it passes by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 yeses and 1 no. All right, and the third motion is the administration seeks a motion to approve pre-qualification criteria for the renovation projects. Can anyone make that motion?
So
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
I think I heard Grant.
Okay.
All right, discussion.
So because of what you just approved and timelines literally to get this started by next school year, we have a very tight timeline to put this out for bid. And we're starting with looking for, we're going to be doing this in a construction management instead of a general construction piece. Just because the timing and supply chains of everything, we've got to start getting a contractor by November to really hit next year to make sure we have what we need on site. We only have 2 summer construction seasons. So we're trying not to interfere with the school year, so we're trying to plan that out. You'll see on the second page of that, what was handed out to you with this, in this attachment, is that there's a timeline from August 18th, which would be tomorrow, to advertise. And then contractors, and this is very typical, have 2 weeks to respond with an FR response to questions. And then they would have interviews, and then this would all be done with the construction team, which includes Marty Spalding, who works for Pearson Associates. You may remember Hunter Gomez, but he's moved on, and Marty's the former in charge of facilities director in Burlington Public Schools. He's now come into this consulting group, so it's great to have Marty as a wealth of knowledge. And then we would come, the group, it would include myself, Laz would be there, but architects usually are on the side, they're not a voting person. And then we would bring back the approval of the qualified construction managers. So here's how it works. We list for questions and responses because the way school law is around building with projects over 500,000, you approve who's qualified to do the work. Then you have them bid on it. And by Vermont statute, you have to take the lowest bidder. So the critical point is when you say if they're qualified to do the work. And then from all of those who are qualified, they submit bids to do the work. And you have to take the lowest one unless 2 bidders are within 1%. You can't say that we think this one would do a better job and actually might save us money. We're really hamstrung past the qualified people. So it's really critical. We've been meeting already for the past month to figure out the questions and how we're going to ask that. And actually, we're writing the contract right now, so they can't, a lot of what happens, and this has been my experience, once you award, they try to alter the contract. So we're gonna be very specific, this is the contract, no alterations. What's your fee? Because that's where, I can tell you there's some school districts that have spent 18 months to 2 years negotiating that contract afterwards. You will have steps in the process where you need to approve these criteria. The board has to do this. This is by statute and how it's laid out. You approve the qualified construction applicants, and then you award the last bid. So you'll see by November 2nd we'll be awarding, and then it will take a month past then for the Agency of Education to approve everything we've done through the use of federal funds. So we'll be hitting December to start really kicking off the project.
Alrighty, any questions from anyone? So I'm gonna take a roll call vote on this. So Nilda?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Susan is a yes, so that passes. Alrighty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we got through that. So the next thing is a retreat update. I think Nilda and Bill are going to talk about that.
Yeah. Nilda, do you want me to go, or you want to go?
You may go ahead and initiate the discussion.
Okay. So first thing, and I know Aaron put this in the annotated agenda, if there's any dietary restrictions, and I know we're missing a few people, so we'll make sure to get an email out. But if there are any, because Twigs is going to cater it for us up at Hardack on the 14th. I just want to remind everyone, it's September 14th. And we still have Phil Gore. We talked about him in the spring, lined up. And so Nilda, Nina, and I and Phil are trying to schedule a planning meeting. And we have some topics that you listed last spring of things you wanted to talk about in the retreat, but I don't know if there's anyone who wants to bring up a topic that they thought of since then. I'm sorry I didn't bring that list with me. Maybe Nilda remembers some of those. I don't know, Nilda. I meant to look at that before I got up here this evening. And then
I don't have that notebook with me, so I don't.
I know I do have it. I just have to go back and get it. So if you said something in the spring, it's there. But if you want to reiterate it or say, hey, I'd like to make sure we address this, or you say, I know for me, my best thinking usually doesn't happen right a minute at the table. It happens as I reflect and think. So Nilda, you and I said today, if someone thinks of an idea, we're going to try to start meeting with Phil the week of the 29th, but I think there'll be a couple meetings between then and the 14th. So I think we'd really want to kind of call those topics by their next meeting. So what did I miss, Nilda?
I think you covered it. Just shoot any, if you have a burning topic, send it our way. We'll see what we can do about it if it's not on the list. I do have a list. I just don't have it with me right now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So we're on to new business. And the first thing that we need to talk about is the educational support staff side letter. So I'm looking for a motion to support the educational support staff side letter for level 2 paraeducator and behavioral interventionist pay rate. So I'm looking for a motion. Anyone?
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion?
Yeah, Casey will introduce this
perfect.
to you. As you all know, Casey Provost is our Human Resources Director.
Good to see all of you on the screen here in person. Just a little bit of context for both 8B and 8C. This is work that's a result of the leadership team this summer had developed some subcommittees. So some members of the leadership team worked with some of the association leadership to think through some opportunities to support both staff and some things that we were facing. So starting with 8B, as you'll see, the Article 9.6, 8.6 addresses that there is a component of a pay rate. Last year, let me back up. Last year, we started for level 2 paraeducators and BIs. They've received an hourly differential when they were serving in those roles. There was one component of that article where when they were on leave, when they were using leave time, so sick time or personal time, they were paid at their base rate of pay as opposed to their hourly rate of pay. So through this side letter, we did some research to figure out the number of staff who were working essentially full-time on their student contact time when they were working with students. When we established that when they were working 2/3 of their time, of their student contact time, that we would like to establish one regular rate of pay that would honor the work that they were doing as opposed to a certain rate of pay for parts of their day. So they were clocking in and out throughout the day. It was creating challenges and barriers both for employees and on the administrative oversight of it too. There were a lot of challenges that came up. So we were seeking this as a proposal that would establish one rate of pay when folks were serving above 2/3 of their time, their student contact time, that they would have one rate of pay. There are only a couple of the level 2 and BI positions that are serving about half of their time or less. When folks were serving in that capacity, they would continue to clock in and out at the different rates of pay. But our hope was, with your support, and the association does support this as well, that we would be able to establish a new rate of pay that would be consistent for employees. I think just lastly, we also did, thanks to Martha and our team, we looked at the impact on the budget, and we didn't find that there would be a significant impact on the budget by making this shift as well. I think that's all. Bill, anything I forgot?
Alrighty, so we're going to vote on this. We're going to take a roll call vote on this.
Just a clarification. Does our motion include B and C?
Just B.
Just B.
Just B.
Okay.
And we'll make another motion for C as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. All right. So Nilda.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Al.
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Katie. Yes. Grant.
Yes.
And Susan. That passes by a vote of 6.5 to 0. All right, and the next motion, we're looking for a motion to approve the educational support staff side letter for para-educator pay rate as presented.
So moved.
So moved.
All right, thank you. Any discussion?
Sure. Again, this is connected to some of the work that the subcommittee of the leadership team, along with the association, has discussed this summer. So Bill will speak to a bit of this that's well connected in the superintendent's report related to substitute pay rate. When you'll hear more about that, that may give more context for this. We wanted to ensure that folks who are working within the district as a paraeducator wouldn't be receiving less at an hourly rate of pay than substitutes were paid. So this shift that we are proposing with your support would impact only 2 steps on the ESP paraeducator hourly wage scale. So there are 3 columns, as I'm sure you've seen, in the ESP master agreement. Column 1, steps 1 and 2 are just below $16 per hour. So we are proposing that the minimum rate of pay for paraeducators is increased to $16.05 per hour. That is less than 15 employees who would be impacted by that bump, and we're making that suggestion for this year.
Any questions?
Was this considered during the ESP negotiation at all?
No, this came out of the summer work.
Okay.
And as Casey said, I'm going to talk more about it, but I could give you the context here with the sub rate. Casey and his HR team did a phenomenal job looking at all our local districts. As you all know, we were very low on substitutes. Our pay rate, and I'll tell you more about it in a minute, was, I'm just waiting for that truck to go by. For 7.5 hours, it was $101 a day for 7.5 hours work with a high school diploma. Even last year, we were below many of our neighbors in Franklin County in what we were paying. And doing it averaged out, and we included Colchester and Milton in along with Grand Isle and Franklin, because that's where we're probably going to pull subs from. The average rate of pay was $120 a day, which equates to $16 an hour. I'll talk more about subs on the other side. But.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So I'm going to take a roll call vote on this. Nilda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Katie? Yes. Grant?
Yes.
Susan is yes, so that passes. Okay.
Don't go anywhere, Casey. We got one more.
Is that on?
It is the next one, the co-curricular.
Okay. So the administration seeks a motion to approve the co-curricular guidelines as presented. You want to make that motion? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right. Discussion? Casey?
Sorry, I didn't have the agenda in front of me. Trying to save Wi-Fi. There are no changes that are reflected in these guidelines. As you have more history than I do in the district, the district practice is that every other year there's a step increase on these guidelines, but there's no changes to the base rate of pay for across any of the guideline areas. So this is consistent with last year, and there's not a step increase for this year.
Any questions? Alrighty, so I'm going to take a roll call vote on that. Nilda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Katie? Yes. Grant?
Abstain.
And Susan. So that passes by a 5.5 votes to 1 abstention. Alrighty. Next thing we're going to talk about is the October board meeting dates. And I think you and Nilda.
Yeah, Nilda and I were talking earlier. We have scheduled meeting dates on October 5th and October 19th. On October 5th, the Central Office Administrators, we're starting a series with Washington. The University of Washington has been coming to the state of Vermont for 3 or 4 years on instructional leadership. And the first part of that is having Central Office Administrators do a 2-day workshop on how you support principals and support the buildings for instructional leadership. So we're all down at Killington. So this is a bit selfish on my part, but I really don't want to drive up here from Killington and then drive back the next day. That's on the 5th. On the 19th, and I'm going to talk more about this in my superintendent's report, but it starts the Vermont School Boards Association state meeting, and I sent you an email earlier today on that. That happens on the 20th and the 21st. So, Nilda, you and I were talking, we talked about having one meeting in October and having that on the 12th, correct?
Yes.
Was our proposal. I don't need a motion from the board, but I want to get a sense of where the board's at with that. Right, Nilda? We said we don't need a motion, but just a sense, and then we can change our schedule.
Right. I think that we always have to maintain the opportunity that we may need to have a special board meeting should something arise, but in anticipation, we should require more than one board meeting in October, especially with all that going on, so.
Any questions?
I would support that.
Okay, great. So I'm getting the sense of the board, and I thank you for that. We'll get that posted on the website and make sure it's publicly available.
Yep, thank you.
So our next item is we're looking for a motion to support an unpaid leave request by Jesse Ives. Anyone make that motion? I'll make that motion.
Awesome.
Alrighty, discussion?
The recommendation is recommended from the administration that we support this unpaid leave request. Jesse has been going through some health things, but is expected to be back hopefully in November.
Alrighty, so I think we're going to take a roll call vote on that. Nilda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Katie? Yes. Grant?
Yes.
And Susan, again, passes. All right, next item. We're also looking for a motion to support an unpaid leave request for David Mitchell. Can anyone make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right. All right. So, discussion?
This is also recommended and supported by the administration. It's a leave request for the first semester.
Any questions? All right, so I'm going to take a roll call vote. Nilda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Susan is a yes, so again, that passes. All right, and one more. Two more, yep. We're looking for, the administration seeks a motion to approve the adult meal price increase for the 2022-2023 school year. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Martha will be glad to
Martha?
introduce this.
Yeah. So each year we get information from USDA regarding the requirements of what we need to charge for adult meal prices. They need to be higher than the reimbursement rates that we get from the federal government for the student meals. And so the required adult price for FY23 will be $4.85. I just need the board to approve that.
Any questions? All right, so we'll take a roll call vote on that. Nilda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Susan? Again, it passes. Alrighty, and last item under new business is Katie has something that she'd like to discuss with the board.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that every child in our district has what they need for school and that it is provided by the school and not expected to be provided by the parents. With a budget the size that we have, there's no reason that those things that these children need are not being provided. I feel like asking for donations is fine, or giving parents a choice if they want to provide these supplies for their children. I feel like that's fine. But just making sure that things are equitable for all students, and making sure that every kid has the ability to have what they need without putting a strap on the parents.
Thanks, Katie. This came up in a discussion a couple of days ago, and I did bring it up to Mr. Kimball because I was kind of surprised that it appeared that a request had gone out, and it was only at one school, and I totally agree with Katie about that. You know, this kind of flies in the face of all our equity and equality issues, and so Bill certainly wanted to make sure that we brought it up because that is not the expectation of the school community. And he wanted to make sure that, we as the board were able to express that that is not our desire either. So Bill, I don't know if you've taken any other steps.
Well, since I talked to you, Nilda, I did find out there's a little bit at one other school as well. So I don't want to make sure that one school's pointed out here.
Okay.
But I do agree. But I can speak for my colleagues that are here tonight because I've spoken all day, are fully in support of this and really understanding that, hey, we don't want any parent to feel like they're forced to go and buy anything. And even if it's suggested that it's needed, we don't want that either. We really want it said, if you want to personalize for yourself and you decide to go get it, my example is, hey, if you said, we're going to be using 3 notebooks and some pencils and paper, and I wanted to go buy that for my kid, I could. But I don't want it suggested that you might want to buy it. It's just and so we're going to take care of that as an administration. But I also wanted to, Nilda, you were good in saying to me, personally you as a board member, because we don't have this as an action item, you fully supported that.
Right.
Couldn't give me a directive tonight, but I don't know if you want to talk with your fellow colleagues about that around this table. But.
Right. Well, I mean, I think I didn't sense any disagreement. I don't think anybody wants anybody to have to do that. And And we don't want to put people in positions where they may have to make decisions about, you know, what they're going to provide for their family because they have to go out and buy stuff for school. So I'm glad this came up. And I mean, these are the kind of things, you know, when I talked to Bill about it, he said, oh, I wish I'd known sooner. And I said, well, I just found out, you know, it's not like I've known this for a while. But these are the kind of little things that as a board and as we communicate, these are the things that give Bill a, you know, send him a text, give him a call and saying, look, this is what we heard. Because this is not anyone trying to be disrespectful. People are just trying to meet what they perceive as needs for the community and trying to make things work. It's like, but right now we're not in the position where we require it, so it's good to nip it in the bud and try to carry on as we are. So I think we're doing the right things. I don't think we need any formal action. I think you've taken care of it. I think the message is pretty clear unless someone disagrees with me. And I didn't hear any disagreement, so.
So Nilda, I got the sense without an action of where the board stands on this. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. Moving along, we're at other business now. So the next item on the agenda is the warrants. We have a bucket load of warrants. I think you've seen that. I'm seeking a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as authorization and signature of any individual members participating remotely. So may I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Al. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Again, lots of warrants there. As usual, the process is, if you have any questions about anything, contact the central office. Martha or her team will assist in helping explain anything that you might have a question about. And, you know, this is our established process. So I think we're more familiar with some of these than we were maybe a year ago, but it's never a problem to ask any questions about them. So I'm going to take a roll vote. And I'm going to ask, let's see who I got here. Nilda's going to say yes. Susan?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
And Grant?
Yes.
Okay, so motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Nilda. So in tonight's, first of all, I want to thank the board. We had a packed agenda tonight. We had a lot of business to get through that usually does happen after the summer. So it's just what it is. And then some of these, like all the side letters, were what we've learned through substitutes and our ESP and just trying to really come together and get ourselves fully staffed for the year. I really want to first thank my colleagues here tonight. They've done a tremendous job. We had a great administrative retreat the 1st and 2nd and 3rd of August where we came together and really refined some of our work and the envisioning plan, and I know that the board would like an update on that, and John, soon you'll be standing in front doing that. But during that time, as a team, sorry, I thought I had myself all set here. We had, we kind of went back and looked at our envisioning plan and looked at our theory of action. And one of the things, Grant and I were in a conversation around the prepping for a goals committee, and I know that I've been pushing the board to think about goals, and the board's been pushing to get to goals. And the work that we did in our administrative retreat really kind of said, wait a minute, we can slow down a little bit here. And I have to really thank my colleagues on the leadership team because they really took a look at our theory of action. For those of you that aren't familiar with that term, theory of action, it's really saying, if we do this, we think this will occur. And we created those when we created the envisioning plan, and then we really kind of re-looked at it and took some time. We took a whole day. And hopefully soon there's a graphic coming out. Not quite there yet, but we all did graphics to try to think of like what's a symbol for all of this. And I won't foreshadow that at all, but it was great work. It really kind of got us to look at the statement and then come back, and a few people worked it that day and brought it back, and we all said, and you've heard this before, but if if every MRUSD staff member commits to support all students' social and emotional well-being and to provide engaging learning opportunities which support their safety and academic proficiency, then all Maple Run students will succeed as lifelong learners. I'm going to say that one more time. It's a mouthful. I got questioned myself, do we need to stay with the template of theory of action? I really believe we do. And there's sub pieces that go in this, but I'm going to say it one more time. If every MRUSD staff member commits to support all students' social and emotional well-being and to provide engaging learning opportunities which support their safety and academic proficiency, then all Maple Run students will succeed as lifelong learners. That last phrase got changed a lot because we wanted it to be applicable within their pre-K through 12 time in Maple Run and after. The one version before really looked at the after. So that to me is, and we could talk more about this at another meeting, but it's really kind of our goal statement for us as a team right now. And so if you said, what would you have hold me accountable as your superintendent, as the proxy for the staff across Maple Run, and I'd say hold me accountable to that theory of action. So I know we've been talking about accountability and how we do that. So I wanted to give you that. You'll see that along with that administrative retreat. We just had a great time. I think there was some really good time. We'll all remember a Tuesday night campfire. We were sitting around just having great conversation and connecting with each other. I see a smile at least on one of my comments. So, it was a good time just for us to kind of get to know each other deeper, and that's what a retreat's supposed to do. Along with that, as I previewed earlier in the COVID piece, I'll be sending a letter out to the community and families talking about COVID and early release days, and reminding people about that. We also had, I sent you an email at about 5 tonight. I received it, I only didn't see it till about 5, from Vermont School Boards Association and Vermont Superintendents. It has an agenda. And the agenda actually for the conference on the 20th and 21st, and any of you are more than welcome to go in the school district out of our school board line would cover your attendance and hotel, right, Martha? We've done that in the past, right? But we've been talking a lot about educational equity work, and they're bringing in a person from Texas that's led a lot of this work. We've all met Phil Gore, a colleague of his when he worked for the Texas School Board Association. She's coming up to do some of this work, but really talk about educational equity work of boards, like what do you do as a board, student data, setting goals and monitoring progress. This is all from the board role. School board's role in district climate and culture, superintendent oversight, and governance standards. I saw that list and I'm like, they went and took our work plan somewhere from this board, because that's like what we're working on. So I know for some of you it's really hard to get away for 2 days, but it might be an encouraging way to learn a bit. I know, Jack, you usually come for a twofer because this is Superintendent's Association as well. It's a 2-day. It goes from 8 in the morning, or actually 8:30 in the morning, Thursday, all through dinner, and then to 2:30 on the Friday. And that's the 20th and 21st. I sent this in an email probably about an hour before we started. I'm leaving a staffing update to the end. You heard a lot of it from the principals, so they covered it pretty well. Next thing is we have Convocation next Wednesday at Collins Pearly from 9 to 12. I've been lucky to join Joan and be able to see our students do a great job with the MRUSD Speak course. Tell me if I get any of this wrong, Joan. You can just stop me right there. The students have, I've been saying this to everyone, so I'll say this, but I'm not letting out the bag of what they're doing, but this has been a totally developed, written, directed, produced, staging, choreographed, and I'm not sure how I would call for producing the sound, producing the music, but even selecting the musical arrangements. That's probably the best way to say it, wouldn't you say, Joan? And it's phenomenal to see the work. And 2 of our graduating seniors led it. And have helped us put it all together. So it's fabulous. I really encourage you to come. They'll be performing around 10 to 10:15. My goal at Convocation is really pump the tennis courts full of energy and sound, and I have some things that are going to probably be a little different from at least what I experienced in one Convocation I've been to and what I've heard. Really excited about it. I have to thank Joan for all the student work. There's many people that are here that are helping with that. Tim Vians, many staff members from central office, and lots of staff from across the buildings. So I'm really excited for that. Just as the principal showed you their excitement, I'm very excited for that day, and excited to see everyone back here. The last piece on the staffing piece, as you heard, if we look technically at the positions, you heard many of the principals say, like, we can open, we're ready to go. Some of them said, like, hey, we have this, Joan, I think you said we have 9 pair of positions. We really need 2 more to really solidify, and we could go with 7 open. I think something like that. Did I get that right?
That would put us where we were last year.
That would put us where we were last year. So we would like to fill all those. We have about 14 para-educators. I was just interviewed this afternoon from the Messenger. We have a total of 36 open positions right now. That's better than last year at this point. We were around 50 at this point last year, 45 to 50. I frankly don't recall, but I know it was higher than we are now. We have some teaching positions. Some of them are long-term subs. Joan spoke to the 7-8, some of the innovative ways to solve an opening of 7-8. She talked about that in her homeschool coordinator. We're going to keep looking. Special educator. I will tell you, some of our places that we're hurting right now is maintenance folks, but we think we found a solution here for the BFA complex. But having those types of people, we're just well outside the wages of what is out there in the private industry. So that's what we're competing with. When we went to look at subs, as I said earlier, we were well below. And I can tell you that Essex Westford, I just found this out last Friday in a superintendent's meeting, is paying $155 a day for substituting. So yeah, but I know that I talked with all our Franklin County colleagues, and as I said, Colchester and Milton, and we're right in the right place with 120. That seems to be about where folks are with a high school degree. We increased that for people with teaching experience and a bachelor's degree. So we're doing that as well. That was probably one of our biggest stressors, and I just think of you, Angela, the number of times we had conversations about not having substitutes and the work that does. Not only to the principals trying to figure out what the day's like, but the number of staff that jumped around from one position to another. And if we can do one thing this year is try to keep they come in, know what they're doing. I think that probably some of the highest anxiety, especially our interventionists and coaches and paraeducators. They would come in many days, day after day, with like, so what am I doing today? And not knowing what their role was until they hit the school. So we're trying to solve that. I really want to thank the association. I'm surprised Mike, Katie, or Keith aren't on right now, but they came together with us this summer and met to brainstorm ways to solve this, and that was those MOUs were some of the results of how we solved it. So it was a collaborative effort. I feel like I talked enough. I'm sure there's many other things I could update you about summer. We have a great team here at Maple Run. I'm really proud to serve them and serve the community, and it's really great to be here. So thank you.
Just a comment, Bill, regarding the educational support staff agreements that were in our board packet tonight. Bill had called our negotiating team, myself, Al, and Joanne, and explained all this and got our input. I don't know if that was clear tonight, but we all agreed that that was the right thing. So that those agreements are the outcome of a discussion we had regarding negotiations. It appeared to all of us that it was the right thing to do.
Yep. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thank you, Jack, for reminding me.
Yeah.
Frankly, I forgot all about that.
I wanted folks, the other board members to know that the negotiations team was included and all that discussion, because that was important.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, any questions for Bill related to the superintendent's report? Okay, next item is board announcements. Any board members have announcements to make?
I would just like to thank the administration, A, for staying at a meeting. I now have to question your intelligence. But I want to thank you for the job that you do day in and day out. And not only the job you do, but the attitude and energy that you bring to the job. You're making a difference in the community, and I truly thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Piggybacking on that, I spoke to every single principal as I arrived here tonight, and they are all so excited to go back. And as a parent of children who attend school, that's just such a good and refreshing feeling to know they do this time in, and you know, they put their time in, they do it time and time again. And to know that you guys are like, yeah, we're ready for another year is, yay. Like, we appreciate you guys, so thank you for all you do.
Thank you. I have to say the same thing. I definitely detected some renewed energy in the principals' voices, which was really great to hear. And, you know, everybody's kind of afraid to say that word back to normal kind of thing. So I'm not going to say it either, but, you know, there's a little bit of vestiges of kind of getting there, and that's a good feeling. And again, I wanted to thank Leanne and Lisa for hosting tonight. I apologize for not remembering your name earlier, Leanne, and if you're still there. And I also want to compliment the board on this efficiency of tonight's meeting. It was great. We had a lot of business to do. You guys were prepared and ready to go, and we kicked butt. So thank you for that. Any other business that needs to come before the board? We have our list of agenda for future meetings. I'm not going to read them to us. We know what they are. We'll keep adding to that and working on it. So hearing no further business, I am going to adjourn the meeting at 7:29, 8 p.m. Please turn off the recording.